The restless mind. Have you ever felt like your mind just won't stop racing no matter how much you try to calm it? Arun did. His thoughts chased each other like restless birds, never letting him find peace. Arun was a young man in his 20s, lean and strong, yet exhausted by something far heavier than any load, the noise of his own mind. Each morning he woke with his chest tight, already rehearsing the endless worries of the day. No achievement, no distraction, no company could ease the storm inside him. One evening, unable to bear it any longer, Arun left the bustling town behind and followed a winding mountain path. Villagers had spoken of an old teacher who lived high above, a man said to carry wisdom like a clear lake carries the reflection of the sky. Arun's feet blistered, but his heart kept urging him upward. At dawn, the mountain village revealed itself. Mist curling around wooden huts, silence broken only by distant bells. Arun finally stood before a modest wooden hut. At the doorway waited Master Lee, an elderly man with a thin frame, long white beard, and eyes that held both age and serenity. Arun bowed deeply. Master, I cannot control my thoughts. They devour me. Please, teach me. The old man studied him with kindness. Come inside. The hut smelled of herbs and tea leaves. Scrolls lined the walls and a kettle steamed softly. Master Lee sat cross-legged, posture still as stone. Arun, by contrast, fidgeted, eyes darting around. You wish for peace, Master Lee said, yet you arrive carrying a storm. Arun clenched his fists. Yes, that is why I came. The master only nodded, pouring tea with slow, deliberate care. Then let us begin. But first, you must learn to empty your mind. That night, Arun lay on a straw bed, staring at the ceiling beams. Despite the quiet of the mountains, his mind refused to follow. His thoughts swirled, fears of failure, regrets of the past, endless what-ifs of the future. He turned and turned, unable to rest. The storm within had simply followed him to the hut. But something was different now. Tomorrow, he would not face the storm alone. Sometimes wisdom doesn't arrive with thunder, but with something as ordinary as a cup of tea. That was how Master Lee chose to teach Arun his very first lesson. The next morning, Arun sat nervously at a low wooden table in the hut. His mind still buzzed with questions, but Master Lee moved as though time itself bowed to his pace. The old teacher placed 2 cups on the table and began to pour tea. Arun leaned forward, eager. Finally, he thought, the lesson would begin. But Master Lee kept pouring. The steaming liquid rose, touched the rim, and spilled over, dripping onto the wood. Arun blinked. Master, the cup is full. It can't hold more. Master Lee set down the kettle, his calm eyes resting on Arun. Yes, and so is your mind. How can I teach you when you are already overflowing? Arun froze. The words pierced him. He realized he had arrived with his head stuffed full. Plans, doubts, arguments, expectations of what wisdom should look like. He had carried his storm into the teacher's hut. Master Lee continued softly. If you wish to learn, you must empty first. Let go of what you think you know. Only then can new understanding enter. The lesson was simple, but it struck Arun harder than any long speech. He lowered his gaze, shame rising in his chest. For the first time, he understood that his struggle was not about adding more knowledge, but about making space inside himself. That night, lying on his straw bed, he replayed the image of the overflowing cup. He whispered to himself, "Empty. I must empty." His mind still spun, but now a seed had been planted. The storm within had been named, and naming it was the first step to calming it. Emptying the mind was only the beginning. To truly find peace, Arun would have to release the burdens he carried, burdens far heavier than he realized. Days passed in Master Lee's hut. Arun tried to meditate, but thoughts clung like vines. He grew restless. Seeing his struggle, Master Lee began to teach through simple moments. One afternoon, children ran barefoot in the rain outside the hut, splashing and laughing without a care. Arun frowned at their noise, but Master Lee only smiled. "Do you see them? They do not fear getting wet. They let the rain touch them and move on. That is freedom." Arun watched quietly. Something stirred within him. Could he live so lightly? Another day, in the market, Master Lee bit into a ripe peach and handed Arun the rest. "The fruit tastes sweet because it does not cling to the branch. You too must learn to let go." Later, they helped a villager struggling with a heavy sack of grain. Master Lee lifted it with surprising ease, then turned to Arun. "When you share a burden, it grows lighter. But when you hold it all alone, it crushes you. Why cling to what weighs you down?" That night, Arun sat by a river. Clouds drifted across its surface, but the water carried them away. He imagined his own thoughts, regrets, fears, grudges, floating like those clouds, released into the current. For the first time, his chest loosened. He whispered to himself, "Let it go." As he lay on his bed, a vision came to him. An eagle soaring high, wings spread wide, riding the wind with no resistance. He envied its freedom, but also felt that slowly he was learning its secret. Letting go had lightened Arun's heart, but the storm was not gone. To master peace, he would have to face the greatest challenge of all: silence. One evening, Master Lee led Arun to a wooden pavilion that overlooked the valley. "Sit," the teacher said. "Now be still." Arun obeyed, crossing his legs, closing his eyes. At first he felt calm, but within moments his thoughts began again. Lists of tasks, old memories, anxious questions. He grew frustrated, his body twitching. Finally, he groaned, "It's impossible." Master Lee placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. Silence is not the absence of noise. It is the space where you begin to see your noise clearly. Do not fight it. Watch it pass. The next day, Arun tried again. He imagined his thoughts as leaves floating down a river. Some were heavy, some light, but all were carried away by the current. For the first time, he did not chase them. He simply watched. Hours passed like minutes. When he opened his eyes, he felt strangely lighter, as though a layer of fog had lifted. That night, lying beneath the stars, he allowed silence to hold him. For the first time in years, tears fell, not from despair, but from release. He whispered, "So this is peace." The storm inside was not gone, but it no longer controlled him. In silence, Arun had found the strength to let it pass. Silence had given Arun space to breathe. Now, he was ready for the final lesson, not in words, but in how he chose to live. At sunrise, Arun and Master Lee stood together on a cliff overlooking the valley. The sky blazed with gold, an eagle circling high above. Arun inhaled deeply. "Master," he said softly, "my mind feels empty, but full at the same time. empty of chaos, yet full of peace. Master Lee nodded, eyes shining. That is the way. The cup is no longer overflowing. You have space for life to enter. In the days that followed, Arun moved differently. He no longer rushed through the village market. He smiled at children, shared food with strangers, and listened with patience. The villagers noticed his calm presence. It drew them the way sunlight draws flowers. One evening, as the two men walked a narrow path, Master Lee stopped. "Arun, your time with me is ending. Wisdom is not meant to be stored in a mountain hut. It is meant to be lived." Arun bowed deeply. His heart ached, yet it was not the ache of fear. It was gratitude. "I will carry your lessons, Master, not in words, but in how I walk." They parted at the mountain's edge, Arun descending toward the world he had once fled. His steps were steady, his breath light. Back in the town, nothing had changed. Streets were busy, voices loud, worries endless. Yet, within Arun, everything was different. He no longer drowned in the noise. He carried silence within him, a calm river flowing through all things. And whenever the storm threatened to return, Arun remembered, empty your mind, let go, be silent, live free.